Alright, so I've got this bag marked clutch cover bolts, because that's what I'm going to be putting all those bolts into. You can see here I have stator cover bolts and then clutch cover bolts. It's just a good habit to have. These I really don't need to mark because it's pretty obvious where they go, but what I'm going to do is pull the clutch basket and everything off, and that is just going to be set into the clutch cover itself as a container. This stuff I always, when I take it out, say that it goes in like this, I take it out, I'll flip it around. You can see there's a washer right there. I'll put it right back in how it was in there, so that way I know how it goes back together. Saves time. The only socket I have that fits these is a 1 and 1/16, which actually fits it perfect. So that must be equivalent to like a 19 or a 20. Just to verify, in case you're using this as an instructional video, that is a 22mm. I'll leave these on top like that. I usually zip tie or put tie wire around it. I'm going to set all these inside the clutch cover. I just set everything in there just like that. This is going to require another baggie. Oh, I guess my impact will take it off. That's cool. I always do, so that way I remember how the stuff goes back together too, is I'll take a zip tie, especially if it's going to be taken apart for more than a few weeks or whatever. But I'll zip tie all this stuff together. There's two reasons I do that. Is one, so that way parts don't go missing, and two, you'll remember how exactly they go back on, in what order. As you can see, if you had all these off, it's easy to accidentally put this one on first, and then put the one-way starter bearing on, and then that, or something to that effect. You don't want to do that on accident. Or I'll even put them in a bag, so that way the starter clutch does not get contaminated. I have a special tool to take this off, and I can't find it anywhere. That's not good. I found it. And of course, I don't have the right size one, so I'm going to have to make one out of a socket. That's lovely. So I just made this tool. Let's see how well it works to pop this off. So it fits on there nicely. Let's see how well it takes this off of here. I have to hold that. Beautiful. That worked how I wanted it to. Cool. So, real easy to make a cheap tool like that, just when you're in a pinch. As you can see what I did, I just took an old socket. I'm probably going to save this, hopefully it'll hold up to the next time I have to ever do this on another 450. So once again, pulling these off, there's going to be a washer, and then your weight, which on actually this one, it looks like it's attached to it. On the 04 and 05 is this weight, and this gear are totally separate. But put your washer in there, and then put your nut on top, and then just run a zip tie through it, and it'll keep things from getting lost. Oh. You always want to remove that because otherwise you can't split the case halves. Whenever you do get to that point, you won't be able to split them. So it's good to take all this stuff off in the beginning. Alright, so removing the flywheel on a TRX450R and TRX450ER, you're going to need this tool right here. It is an M28 by 1. Basically that's the thread pitch in there, and what you do is you put this over after you've taken that bolt off, and then you tighten this down and it pops the flywheel off. There's really no other way you can do that without breaking the flywheel. Yes, that's 17. Now, these are torqued pretty tight. I'd be surprised if my impact can take this one off. Okay. Usually that never works out how I want it to. The flywheel is pretty straightforward. Once you pull the bolt in this washer off, they'll just kind of stick on there like that. It really won't go missing. Just keep an eye on it. Oh, almost forgot. Since this crank is shot anyways, I'm not going to be reusing it. They usually come with a tool or a piece that usually goes over that, so that way you don't damage the end of your flywheel. I guess I will use it in this video just to show you. But you screw that on there just like that, and then you put your flywheel tool over. So it looks like a 15/16 fits that perfect. So that's what I'm going to end up using for this. And then in tightening motion, there comes the flywheel. Just like that. And then this tool's got to come back off in order to get the flywheel off, because this right here has got to come out, and your flywheel should pop right off. You're going to have a keyway that's in here as well. You want to take the keyway and make sure you stick it to the magnet in here so it doesn't get lost, because it will at some point fall out. Let's see what this looks like up here. As you can see, it pumped a lot of shavings up in here. I don't know if you can see the gold glitter, gold flakes that are in there, but there's quite a few. But those are going to have to come out. You can tell it looks like somebody has been in here before I have, probably when the HRC kit was installed on it. Those are, let's see, 6 millimeters? I always thought they were 5/16, but they are 6. Usually you want to have the crankshaft on the engine still, because you can put a wrench on it over here and put a wrench on it over here, or well, a socket down here, and then get the socket on here and take it off. So since I'm kind of fighting with these bolts, and I don't want to strip this one out anymore, and it's already been by whoever previously worked on it, because I have never torn into this engine ever. Yeah, this is literally the first time. But that bolt is stripped out, so what I'm going to do is just remove these 4 10mm bolts and then kind of tilt this and lift it up and pull the timing chain off. Now I should be able to get the cam tower loose enough and kind of tilt it over to get the timing chain off, because the cam tensioner is not in there, so I should be able to get that. This is not the proper way to exactly do this, but I'm doing it because I can't get these bolts on the side over here undone without stripping them, and I don't want to run into another issue of stripping something out. So just like that. And then being careful, you got shims that are going to fall out. Usually you want to keep an idea of where you last seen the shims come from. For example, this one goes here, that one goes there. They're usually measured in different thicknesses. It's good to just make sure if you're putting the engine back together for any reason, because like I said, they're different thicknesses. Alright, so here's my cam tower shim and bolts bag. Usually I put the camshaft gear and the camshaft bolts in these baggies. I try to keep all this stuff as this. Something else you should probably take note of is these buckets right here. They go in here and they can very easily fall out. And of course put your cam tower and your camshaft and assembly in there just like that and put it off to the side. Should be 14mm. First one I do is loosen these up. These will go in the same baggie as the head bolts. Oh shit, there might be actually a high compression piston in this thing. So you can see the cylinder actually looks beautiful. There's a lot of cross hatching in there still. I like that. Should be at a 96mm cylinder if this is stock. I'm just gonna check it real fast. And it looks like we're at 96. So that is a stock cylinder. There's still plenty of cross hatching and there's no scoring. There's just a little bit of scuffing, which is no big deal. Awesome. So this piston definitely looks aftermarket. Get some of these rings out of the way. If I can get this circlip out without shooting it across the shed or hitting me in the eye. Because it seems to be the place that they like to go, is directly into your eyes for some reason. That's usually what happens. They either shoot across your shed or they go right into your eye. This piston, holy crap, it actually is a CP. I didn't think it was. That's cool to know though. It does have a 13-1 in it, so the guy that owned it before me wasn't lying about that. That's awesome. Harbor Freight shit, dude. So this whole time I was blaming the Harbor Freight snap ring pliers. The snap ring doesn't even have an actual hole in it. Let's see if I can get maybe it to pop off like this. Either way, I'm going to replace the snap ring, so if I destroy it, I don't really care. There it goes. I don't really care. I'm going to order a new one anyways. Should be, there it is. Yep, just as I expected. There's going to be this little pin that goes through there. Keep that in check. And then I can remove the oil sump. This is one of the most important things about this, is this is going to need to be cleaned very thoroughly before the engine ever goes back together. Because you can see right there, that is all the metal that it picked up. There's all gold flakes. Should be able to split this case now. So my camera died right when I was getting the case halves split. After I removed these 10mm bolts, what these do is they hold the bearing stays in, which is actually kind of weird because I remember these 06s having on the inside, it had like a Torx head or a JID head that would hold them in from the inside. Anyways, what I was doing there is I was taking a longer bolt with the same thread on each side, running it in a little bit at a time on this side and on the other side of the case. And what that was doing is every time you run those in a little more, it spreads the case open more and more like that until eventually the crankshaft should just basically fall out. Or not fall out, but it'll just come apart. So yes, you do see some rust on the bearings. All these bearings are going to be pulled out and completely replaced. What I did is I ended up taking these and I soaked them in some, not soaked them, but I put them in a bucket of Purple Power and scrubbed it real good and took them to the hose and blasted them off real good and got them degreased essentially. I did that with the case halves, did that with the cylinder head cap cover, the cylinder head because it had a bunch of metal shavings in it, and of course the cylinder. But you can see here is the other piece that would usually would sit in there, but it's way too mangled to go back in there. Obviously, you can see the other one. The other one in there is just pretty much shot as well. It wasn't long before it would have done the exact same thing. Please like and subscribe if you liked this video, of course, and there should be more on this engine coming up soon.